WPCentral Podcast 139 for March 29th, 2012. Hey everybody, Dan Rubino, joined once again by Rafael Rivera and Jay Bennett for another exciting WPCentral podcast, the
Hello.
occasional WPCentral podcast.
We're only a day late today. We have a good excuse.
Right.
You were having a date with AT&T.
Yeah, it was
Right,
Jay's
right.
fault.
It's not my fault. But how are you feeling, Dan? After last week's or last fortnight's podcast?
2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm better, but still sick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting, it's slowly healing. I don't know what I have. I feel fine. I just can't breathe very well. That's all. So I have the world's best healthcare because I work at Cornell and New York Presbyterian. Never use it. I haven't seen a doctor in 11 years and still won't go see one. So I don't know.
So hang on. The fact that you can't breathe hasn't got you worried that maybe you should see a doctor?
It's getting better. They'd say if you cough for 8 weeks or more, you should go see the doctor. It hasn't been 8 weeks yet. So there you go. But I'm alive and functioning. How are you guys doing?
I'm all right. I'm just sort of same old. It's getting towards the late-ish and excited to go on another podcast about you, Raphael.
I'm doing okay. Playing with homebrew stuff today.
Yeah, we have.
Don't you play with homebrew stuff every day?
Well, there's some extra homebrew stuff which we'll be talking about. Hopefully, we put it in the script, but if not, we'll definitely talk about it.
I didn't, but this script was written 2 days ago, so we'll pick.
Thanks, Jay.
Well, anyways.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's kick off the podcast with it then, shall we?
Yeah. We got a lot to cover here, especially with the Lumia 900. We're on the eve of almost the eve of the release of this megaphone for AT&T and eventually worldwide for the rest of our listeners. So they'll definitely want to be paying attention to this. This has turned out to be a pretty big deal. So, and we should mention the Titan 2 is coming out too. Although we did do a poll, and I haven't checked it. The last time I checked it was a day or two ago. We've had probably almost 7,000 respondents so far.
Yeah.
But I believe it's 60% of you are wanting the Lumia. The Lumia 900. And it was only like 4% want the Titan 2. The rest of you are waiting for Windows Phone 8 Apollo, which is kind of interesting. But I just want to throw it out there. The Titan 2 is a nice phone too. I don't think people should necessarily discount it. So, but we'll definitely be doing comparison for both those devices when we get them here to review.
Yeah, it's difficult because obviously the Titan 2 is it's difficult to get as excited about, I think, because it's just a Titan with a 16 meg camera on the back of it and a slightly redesigned outer shell. I don't know if that's just me, but I find it less. And LTE, yeah. Well, then again, you could argue that the 900 is a bigger 800 with a front-facing camera. So I suppose.
That's basically what it is. There really isn't that much different between 900 and 800 in that regard. But we got the dates now. We were right. It is April 8th is the day we reported on that a couple of weeks ago. And I just got a
very good news. Is it April 8th for it's April 8th for Titan 2 as well, isn't it?
Yes. So they're all coming out on that same day, and so that's going to be a big deal. Now that is a Sunday. That's also an Easter Sunday. So what that means is you have to check with your local store. Some stores will be open. We're told they will be actually selling this in the stores on Sunday. So the question is your store open or closed? So you'll have to, stop by and check with them on that. Of course, you can also pre-order it on March 30th. We did a story about that yesterday saying if you pre-order, you stand a very good chance of getting that phone in early. We're talking about April 6th. You should be receiving it. And so, that's something to consider. That should be in store too. You should be able to do that in store and order and get it in early, but definitely online.
Should definitely pre-order it. I mean, it's one of those things. Anybody you can stand there with a sort of this fancy new phone and claim it really is from the future because it's not been put out into the stores yet. That's the way I'd look at it.
Right. And so that's going to be the black and cyan version. Of course, the white version, which was also announced. And we mentioned how that was offered to AT&T, but they weren't sure if they were going to take it, and they did. So that was really interesting. That was a last-minute decision. We can confirm that now. And that's why it's also coming out April 22nd. So that'll be a couple weeks later. Now, we were talking with AT&T yesterday, and they kind of recommend maybe getting the white, depending on your preference, of course, if you really want cyan. But here's what's nice about the white version. If you get that, you can throw on those gel cases, and there's black, magenta, and cyan.
Oh, that's a good point.
You can actually make it, 3 different colors, where if you get one of the other colors, you can only do 2 other colors. So you get more flexibility with the white. And those gel cases are... they're skin tight. I mean, you put them on, it basically looks like the regular phone,
They
and
are
you won't really see
they
anyone.
are still a little bit chunky. You can definitely notice when they're on there. I think it's because the extra raised surface around the screen is what I notice when I put mine on there. It's just that little bit of chunk.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
it's my
but
own fault
they're
because I should point out I didn't put my gel case on. I dropped the phone this week, and it has now got a very tiny chip in the top corner, which has got me
correct.
most excited about those bumpers. Actually, the bumpers look really good.
So yeah, the bumpers are a new addition. There's two colors right now. There's green and blue, and so this is kind of based almost on the iPhone thing, where it's the same as the gel case, but it just goes around the edges, and so you throw that on, and it'll protect your corners, and it won't protect the body nearly as much, but for drops and everything, it should protect the corners of the device pretty well. And that too comes, with the varying colors. So,
WP Sweden in our chat room is asking, do we have any information on how long AT&T's exclusivity is going to last? I don't think we do.
No,
Years.
no, yeah, no. There's no strict information on that. Everyone wants to know is going to happen on T-Mobile and stuff. Yeah, I'm not really too positive. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to that. I'll try to find out by the time the device comes out or in the next couple of days for you guys. But yeah, not 100% sure on that one.
But it's funny you mentioned the bumpers.
So
I'm actually browsing around on AT&T site now, and they actually have a green one. It looks really nice.
Right. Yeah. And what's cool about those, they match the tiles, the accent colors of the device.
Yeah.
So if you got a white one, you threw a green one on and 3 green tiles on, it would look pretty cool,
This is, of course, the green one that we think is coming anyway.
What?
We think there's a green. We think there's a green Lumia 800/900 in the running, don't we? We've seen this before in adverts.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, nothing firm there. And there's also rumors that there may be a magenta 900 coming out for Mother's Day, but I couldn't get AT&T to confirm or deny that. So, but yeah. So
just gave you the usual brush off.
But it'll be a big, the next 2 weeks, it's going to be pretty big. Pay attention to our site as we seem to be having all the 900 news that's out there. The next story with it belonging to the AT&T employees. Yeah, so we did this story and it's turned out to also be true because we don't report true things here. But yes, AT&T employees are getting the phone as well. If you walk into an AT&T store, they should be able to show it to you. There's some confusion here. Some employees apparently are not sure if they can show it, but they can. There's no reason they should be able to, give it to you. But yeah, the story is evidently Nokia spending $25 million to seed these devices out to AT&T employees. They're also providing training, in-store training. There's 2 types of training going on. There's the AT&T training for their own employees. Then Nokia is doing their own workshops with the employees. So they're getting double the education. Now, what can you expect when you walk into a store on April 8th? This is what we're told. They're going to have banners on the outside of the store, banners on the inside. There's going to be a large wall that's going to feature the Titan 2 and the Lumia 900. There'll also be sort of like a kiosk station where you can play with all the different phones and their colors. They'll have them set up for playing games and for doing different applications. They'll also have a bunch of accessories, including the Purity HD headset. Those are the big over-the-ear ones, not the one I'm using. The one I'm using, if you want, you can still buy online. But the big ones that go over the ears, which are really nice, they're $199 though. But those will be in the store along with the bumpers, the gel cases, some third-party cases as well, screen protectors, everything you can imagine will be there in the store. We're actually told by AT&T that when you walk into this store, you're going to think you're in a Nokia store. That's how pervasive it will be.
So they are going very aggressive when it comes to this launch. Then, if they're bringing around the accessories and sort of transforming the stores is it going to be for a day, for a week? Do we know how long this is going to last?
No, I think it's going to be just pretty much that's going to be the setup for quite some time.
Okay. So it's just going to be one day, and then they tear everything down and throw it away.
Yeah, right. Move on to the next Android phone. No, hopefully not. And now everybody's probably wondering about the big media campaign. Now, we haven't been able to get any information from them about what they're planning. But it's safe to say, we've mentioned this many times before in this podcast, that what you've seen in Europe as far as advertising and those little stunts they've been doing is sort of the warm-up for the United States. That was in a lot of ways a test market for them to try things out and get them going here. So I think you can expect similar events here in the United States, but we don't have anything firm to announce, including on April 8th, if they're going to do anything. But I think it's safe to say we'll start seeing some big stunts from them.
So I actually have a dumb question.
Sure.
My dumb question is, so do we walk in and get the white Lumia? Can we pre-order that?
So the white Lumia, it's a good question. The white Lumia is only available in stores and you won't be able to order it online. So
Okay.
they'll be on the 22nd. So you have to go actually to the store and pick one up. So it sounds like they're a little bit more limited in production and availability. And so at least for the foreseeable future. So you can't pre-order that come March 30th. That won't be available. You'll have to actually go to the store and pick that up.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll buy a tent.
Is that your plan, Raphael? Are you going to camp out?
Yeah, I'm like you guys know, I'm not really crazy about these phones, but I think the exclusive apps bring tremendous value to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Nokia's not slowing down on those exclusive apps either. So
No,
I think I'm going to have to jump on board if I want maximum value out of the Windows Phone platform. And then you brought up a interesting point about the bumpers in the white phones. I love the green look, so I think my best bet is to get the white one and then cover it up.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I'll do that. The only worry point I have is that Apollo. There's still no news on whether they'll upgrade or not, and
right.
But oh well.
But if not,
and to be honest, I don't think. Well, my understanding so far of the Apollo situation is it's still sort of undecided. At least when I was speaking with AT&T, they weren't being really coy with me on this either. I don't think they were dodging, but they were pretty much unsure what Microsoft was actually planning. And so, that's still up in the air for, I think, a lot of people. It's a good question. I actually told them, it's something that you guys, the consumers, are really concerned about. And they actually understood that. They said, we agree with you. So I kind of wish that we had something more definitive to say on that. But from what I understand, not even AT&T seems to be too sure on what those plans are. So it's a risk we're going to take. I have a feeling, my gut tells me this device will get Apollo. Now, if it does get Apollo, it still doesn't mean it's going to be as awesome as the Apollo phones that will come out, because we know that those will probably have a new resolution, like a higher resolution. They'll have some more advanced features and hardware, like dual core support. Obviously, the 900 can't do that. So the hardware will change. You won't be able to get as much functionality as Apollo, as of an Apollo device, but you should be able to reap a lot of the benefits of that OS update. At least that's what I'm thinking will probably happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
That sounds about right. So that's the obviously the Lumia 900, the big launch, and by the time the next podcast is out, you should hopefully all have your hands on one. Those of you who are interested in picking up a 900. Let's move on. Let's talk about some apps or some games and the status of the platform at the moment. The next article or the next list of item on our news is popular games, Orbital Foul, and Microsoft's new aggressive strategies. Now, there's a lot of talk this week. It's basically been around Angry Birds Space has prompted all this. So Angry Birds Space has obviously come out on the iPhone, on the Android platform, and it's seeing a lot of success. It's a great game. I've played it quite a bit myself, and it's a good what we'll call first innovation for the platform that we've seen in some time. The problem, of course, is that it's not available for us on Windows Phone yet, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about sort of the reasons behind that and perhaps the problems that provides, because some people will look at this and say, oh, okay, actually that's not a big deal. I don't care about Angry Birds. And for the individual, that's fine. But we have to accept the fact that some of these big apps, like Angry Birds, like Draw Something, are a big deal to a lot of consumers and people who want to be able to play with their friends and have that social experience. So the fact that we're missing them is, in my opinion, the next big hurdle that Microsoft has to overcome. I think we've got the hardware now with the Nokia Lumias. I think we've got the operating system, and we always actually have. I now think that we need to start looking at the software that we don't have and where we need to bring that social experience with your friends into the platform. Because if people feel like buying a Windows Phone is going to cut them off, they're not going to be as interested. What are your thoughts?
Raphael?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We need to start targeting these people and figure out why they're not porting their apps over and kind of address those immediately so that we could see them start rushing in. In the case of Angry Birds Space, though, with them having ported to HTML, the PC, and whatever the other phones use, probably just native C and OpenGL. I mean, seriously, they can't port to Windows Phone. I mean, they have the ability to run native code. They just have to walk up to Microsoft and say, give it to us. So I don't know what their problem is.
Yeah, and I don't even know why they would need native code. Like, I understand they can do the Xbox Live route. I think that's probably,
Yeah.
they probably don't want to do it, but the problem with the Xbox Live route, of course, is the length of time it takes to get the game to market, right? It actually is long. That doesn't mean, though, they can't just release directly to the marketplace and put a game out there, which I don't understand why they're not doing. Why just forget the live thing. Just do the straight game.
And if I understand correctly, if they went the live route, Microsoft would actually throw them some money. But I'm not sure about that. But I mean, come on, it's Angry Birds.
And we should point out, I mean, we have since reported, obviously, that the game Angry Birds Space is coming to Windows Phone. I think the point of this is that because it's not there straight away, it puts us behind the other platforms in terms of a lot of consumers.
Now, some of the other, apps that are out there, and I kind of ranted a little bit this on Twitter recently because tech media is obsessed with social media right now, and more specifically, trying to find the next Twitter or Facebook app that's going to get out there. So that's where you see all this stuff on Pinterest and Path and whatever junky app that's out there. And these services, like, for me, they're really gimmicky because the tech media blows them up really huge and they become the flavor of the week. And then 6 months from now, no one really cares. Yeah, they're still being used by some people, but they're not, they're not the next Twitter, they're not the next Facebook, but the media for some reason falls in love with this stuff. And then the first thing they ask is, well, why is it on Windows Phone? And now part of that is because these companies are really tiny too. They only have a couple developers. And so we saw that with Instagram, right? They finally put 2 developers to make an Android app. But they only have 2 developers, So you're talking about really small houses that, don't have a lot of resources. And the reason because like, a company like Instagram doesn't make money. No one's figured out how to make money off of social media yet. So you see a lot of these venture capitalists are coming in, throwing millions of dollars. I got Color. If you don't know what Color is, look it up. It's the stupidest app that the tech media just got so excited over last year.
How do you really feel about it?
Yeah, well, it really is dumb. I mean, you could share video without sound for people. I mean, this is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. But the media went crazy over it, mostly because they got $41 million on an angel investor. And it was a total stupid app that everybody just got excited over, and now no one cares about it. And the same is going to happen with Path, which is founded by one of the guys from Facebook. All Path is a method for getting your personal information for advertising. I mean, remember, you're the target here. It's not a service. It's just another way to share photos with people as opposed to just sending it to them. So I find these apps really stupid, and every time we do a story on them, you end up getting a lot of people going like, what is that? Or why would I care? Yet the tech media makes it like, well, because Windows Phone doesn't have it, it's kind of failing because it doesn't have the latest gimmick. Even though we have our own gimmick apps, but it just doesn't work the other way, right? No one complains the iPhone doesn't have a Windows Phone app yet. And so,
no, agreed. Although saying that, I have found one app, the London travel app. A lot of my friends with iPhones and Androids are very jealous of because it's so well done. So I found one must-have app. But no, the thing is, we can't focus on those failure apps and sort of the venture ideas. It's the big successes like Draw Something. Draw Something's a very big deal around at the moment. Everybody's on it and playing it, and it's the sort of thing that
at the moment
Windows Phone needs to have. At the moment, yeah, I'm not saying it's going to last, but during that period of the excitement, that's when people want to be able to use it on their Windows Phone. So it's kind of the way it's going to work. But Microsoft has plans. Microsoft has some aggressive plans, and there's some really interesting stuff. I don't know if you looked at the slides that came from Mary Jo Foley over at ZDNet or ZDNet, and effectively there's just talks about how, obviously we already know that they were going to plan on investigating something like 18 million euros in an app development program, but Microsoft's sort of honing down their strategy as to how they're going to start marketing apps, and there's some interesting points in these slides. One of the ones that I found interesting as well is that they recognize that they have a premium pricing structure marketplace relative to other competitors, particularly around their games, which is really nice to see that Microsoft recognized that, and they're actually planning on bringing down the cost of games and the cost of apps, judging on these slides. So that was a great bit of information to see. They recognize that they're still missing top apps like Pandora, like some image editing stuff like Skype. This is obviously a little bit of an old set of slides. And they are aggressively planning on closing these gaps, which is also fantastic news. I also found it interesting that they're looking to, they're ring fencing a certain amount of money to a marketing investment over 3 years to promote competitors of app developers who won't build on Windows Phone, e.g. Pandora. So that's quite
Right.
interesting. The idea that Microsoft are going to get behind competitors of Pandora just because they won't develop for it, which is potentially quite a smart move.
Yeah.
Did you see anything interesting in these slides?
No, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I caught most of it. Moving on. Let's talk about
I
Windows.
just wanted to comment real quick on the Angry Birds thing again.
Yeah, go for it.
So I just disassembled it, and I can kind of see why now this is a problem. So the PC version is also using OpenGL. OpenGL is not available on Windows Phone. OpenGL works on everything but Windows Phone. So I can see maybe why they're not targeting Windows Phone initially, because they have to port everything to Direct3D, and that's not an easy feat. And by Direct3D, I mean like XNA and all that other stuff. So
gotcha.
Fair enough.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
But as I called it in the article, I mean, working on XNA now is potentially hopefully a way into Windows 8 and obviously already Xbox Live. So potentially there's a whole new ecosystem to start considering.
Yeah.
Well, that's my hope anyway. The 3 screens is going to come through. Let's talk about Smoke by Windows Phone. It's kind of like the elephant in the room at the moment. I don't know if anyone else feels that way.
Possibly. It's got some negative blowback, obviously. I think a little bit, some of it's unwarranted. I think people calling it a sham or a hoax. It's a little. I think you're naive if you really thought that this was like a 100% like, yeah, come in and beat Windows Phone at any task. I mean, the fact that they were able to name the task to do should have already told you that, yeah, this was sort of like those carnival games where they set up everything and what you can and can't do. And it's a promotion. It's a way to show. It's a way to show how Windows Phone is faster than Android or iPhone, not the other way around. And so, sure, yeah, it was a little tilted in one direction and stuff. But having said that, to slam Microsoft on this, I think is a little disingenuous, because what did you get if you lost a Windows Phone? What did you get if you won a $1,000 laptop? Yeah, let's really beat them over the head for this. Wow, what a bunch of jerks. You know, like, I can understand if they were taking your money. You were going up to them going, here's $10. I bet I could beat you. And they're rigging the system. But the reality was, if you lost, you got a brand new phone. And if you won, you got a $1,000 laptop. It's like, I want to play that game, you know? Like, I mean, the whole thing was
ridiculous.
like...
You're absolutely spot on. Yes, okay, so there may have been some areas, I mean... The story that brought this around, it's Sahaskata or whatever it is, regarding his having weather widgets that showed 2 cities, and so he technically beat them. Like you say, his lost. He was offered a Windows Phone. Maybe he didn't want it, and it's just to make a point of the fact that there is some level of it's not even dishonesty, but as you say, it's a promotion. It's trying to say, look how fast it is, and I'm betting that there was a second difference between the 2 phones.
Right.
And it's a really smart promotion. But like you say, I mean, the winning option gives you a $1,000 laptop. Of course, they're not going to want to give those away all the time. And of course, there's going to be the Microsoft employees are going to be briefed. Oh, by the way, these phones don't go up against them for weather challenges. And they noted a couple of other areas where it's likely that Windows Phone could be beaten. But that's life. That's the way promotions work. They're still offering a free Windows Phone to people, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to take my
exactly.
BlackBerry in.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's kind of the other side of the story, right? That they actually ran out of Windows Phones at a lot of these stores because they gave out so many. And so, you know, I think in that sense, so what happened to Microsoft here? So they got some publicity. We can say some of it was bad publicity, but it was, you know, they say any publicity is good publicity. They also managed to give away a ton of Windows Phones to people who previously didn't have them. So I'm okay with this. I think it was actually a success. It's okay. The negative publicity, if anything, got them more media coverage of it and piqued more interest. So I'm okay with this whole thing. Having said that, I'm glad that they're probably going to move on from this now, and hopefully they can get another campaign going of some sorts. So, and actually, I think now we'll see Nokia sort of take over, you know, with advertising.
It'll be called "Smoked Again" by Windows Phone.
Right.
Or barbecued by.
All right, let's go talk about AT&T real quickly here again about the update situation.
Let me get my tissues.
Yeah. So the story came out over the weekend in the forums at AT&T. Specifically, they weren't going to support the 8107 update. This is what we've come to understand now is the release, commercial release CR1, sorry, and that fixes the keyboard and some security fixes. And that AT&T wasn't planning on updating this for their current phones. Everybody went crazy over it for somewhat good reason. The disappearing keyboard thing is a big deal. And so everybody went nuts in the forums to complain, and there, of course, the online petition that's going out there. Then we did our tutorial on how to force upgrade your device to 8107, which actually went swimmingly well, I must say. It seems like a lot of people had success. And if you follow the directions as we posted them, you had success, and you shouldn't have any problems with your devices in the future. And so that was good for a lot of people. And now AT&T, we spoke with them, and they've, I don't want to say backtrack, but it's kind of like an odd lie. It's like, we're not doing 8107, but that doesn't mean we're not doing something else. And that's really the story here, is that it looks like they're planning on doing a different type of update for Windows Phone. So they have apparently 3 versions of Mango. There's Mango, as we all know it. There's the refresh, commercial refresh 1, commercial refresh 2, commercial refresh 3. At least that's how they're looking at it. Tango is commercial refresh 3. And evidently that's the one that they're going to be looking at to bring over to these phones. Now, of course, everybody wants this update now because of that keyboard. It's pretty annoying. And AT&T admittedly that they said that they're pretty conservative with these updates. They would rather just have you sit down once every couple of months, plug in, get all your updates, firmware, and the OS update done at once, because there is still this problem with pushing out updates, and does everybody do them? And there's always a little bit of risk. There's certification problems. That's not the answer people want to hear, because everybody wants the iPhone model. I understand that. And I'm trying to push AT&T towards that a little bit more, to be a little more free, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time. But they did point out that they've released more updates for more devices than any other carrier has. And, I think they seem concerned over it, but that's something we're going to have to sort of keep, I think, pressure up on them and expressing our distaste,
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and I'm glad to see that we put out that. Obviously, we had a long talk about whether or not we were going to put out this forcing update post.
Right.
And I think it was. I still feel that we made the right decision, because for some people that disappearing keyboard is a pretty big deal, and we've got to give them that. The disappearing keyboard is a pain. It was one of the most annoying bugs that we had.
I used to doubt it, but then it happened to me while I was in travel last week. That is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to fix. Like, how do you get out of that? Do you just close the app, reopen it?
You just got to wait a second.
All the background tasks.
You have to shake the phone. I mean,
no, it's just like in Windows Desktop, where a program runs in the background and steals the focus from the mouse cursor. It's the same thing that's happening. You have an app. What's happening at that moment? An app is running in the background, and it's stealing the focus for a second, so the keyboard disappears. And so one way to actually get around this, you just disable all your background tasks. That's not a very practical solution, but that will fix it. So yeah, this is an annoying bug. AT&T agrees, but they don't seem to be as as concerned about it, as opposed to, and for them, it's sort of like, I made the analogy of like when a new phone's coming out, like the 900. Do I get the 900 or do I wait for the Apollo phone? There's always something better coming. And for them, that's how they look at it, because for them, releasing every refresh for the OS is not an option. That's what we want, but that's not how they see it. And so for them, it's like, do we do this update, or do we wait for the one that's coming out in a couple of weeks, which has even more stuff? And some people say, well, where do you draw the line? But in fairness, Microsoft does have specific releases, so it's not like, an open-ended thing. In fact, they don't know what comes after Tango and between Apollo. They actually told me, they were like, is there something after that? We don't know yet. So it goes to show you how this stuff kind of works. They don't even know all of Microsoft's roadmaps here for these software updates. So there isn't necessarily something after Tango that comes before Apollo that could prolong this even further. So that seems to be the current situation. I know it's not the answer people want, but it's not as bad as the vibe we were getting over the weekend, which seemed to be that they were wiping their hands of everything and saying, oh, look, the 900 and Titan 2 are out there, and that's it. So, and they even told me, they said we could have delayed the Titan 2 and 900 for Tango, because that has stuff in it they want, including that multiple attachment for MMS and voice notes. And you can kind of see where Yeah, yeah. Well, that's actually in the what's on a 900 and Titan 2. They does have that on there, but they could have prolonged it. But they said, that's not in anybody's interest to delay these devices further. So we're going to release them now, knowing that it's going to be missing some features that we want. So they're in a little bit of a tough position too. But yeah, that's not to apologize for them. They could definitely do a better job, and try to at least get that point across to them.
But it's good news to know that something is going to come, something is going to come around. So we can at least take the good news there.
Right.
And obviously,
we still hate you, AT&T.
Right. We can't hate them. They're giving the Lumia 900 a chance. Go on,
I still hate them. I will buy it untethered if I can.
Well, and then there's also the other story I did yesterday, which was AT&T basically forced Microsoft's hand to bring LTE to Windows Phone today, right? The plan wasn't to have LTE in Windows Phone 7. It was for Windows Phone 8. It was on the upgrade path there. AT&T asked Microsoft, they're like, listen, we'd really like to have this now. Could you do that? And evidently Microsoft conceded. And they took people off of the Apollo team and put them on this project and got LTE out pretty quickly. And it's a big project because they had to work with Qualcomm to get the drivers, which didn't exist, and the APIs all work together. And they turned it out pretty quickly. So I know a lot of people hate AT&T sometimes, but in this case, it was AT&T that drove the adoption of LTE and making that happen earlier. So, I'm just saying, sometimes you meet these companies and the people behind them, and guess what? They're not as evil as they're made to be in the press. Or, it's complicated. That's all I'm trying to say. People need to sort of temper it down a little bit. So,
yeah, potentially true. Let's get into
chat here. Let me just indicate that in Consumer Reports, they were named as the worst wireless provider in the country.
Right. No, that's true. And for consumer interaction too, right? No, yeah, they do. They definitely have work to do. But on the other hand, their devices tend to get the best devices. They have the most money and they have the best coverage. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what we feel about them in a month after we see whatever advertising is coming for Nokia's 900, shall we?
Yeah.
And Raphael, do you want to talk about your homebrew work?
No. Okay. So let's see. I wasn't expecting that because it wasn't on the notes.
Well, you made a point of it being in the podcast, my friend. I thought I should give you
I know, and then I forgot about it.
I can let you collect, and I can move on to the next story if you like.
yeah, let's do that.
All right, okay. So the next story on our list is, of course, the upgrade for the Windows Phone SDK, version 7.1.1, which, for those of you who obviously don't develop and are wondering, it's not a massive update for the SDK. What it does mean is that we can now start developing for the 256 megabytes RAM devices. We talked about this a lot on the last podcast, and obviously Justin Angel had some great pointers as to what was changing. So I encourage you to go back and listen to that podcast featuring Justin Angel. But it means that those of us who are developing for Windows Phone can get our hands on this 256 megabyte emulator. I've done it, and I've since downloaded, and I can actually say I didn't have to do an awful lot of optimization in the end. By the time I downloaded the new emulator, Microsoft seemed to have done a lot of the work for me in terms of getting memory usage down for the WPCentral app.
You got that out pretty fast.
I was really surprised by that, and it's done. It's ready to go. It's less than 50 megabytes of RAM at any moment. I've not seen it go past that, and I think my limit is 60. So I'm really, it was just quick and easy, and I was really happy with that. And you know what? The tools to find out whether or not you've got a 256 megabyte of RAM device are really quick as well, and everything just worked. It didn't take me very much time at all. So kudos to Microsoft/Nokia for getting that one absolutely spot on as far as I'm concerned.
So could you maybe touch on like the one or two things that you did to quickly get there?
Absolutely. So when you one of the things they bring in is a memory profiler. Well, I said that's been around for some time, but that's what they recommend that you use. So you get out the memory profiler, you run the app for a little bit, and it's a bit of a pain because when the profiler's running, the emulator is really slow. So you've got to sort of stick with it a little bit and just try and get everything to run. But the thing that it's brought out for us, I think it's going to be for a lot of people, a lot of app users or app developers, it's images. It's the size of images that are loaded in when you're trying to scroll through or deal with things. And it's actually the quality of the images in the app are the reason that sometimes the scrolling can jump. So all we did was we put in a nice little option. Now you can choose the quality of your images in the app in version 2.2, high quality, medium quality, or low quality. No one wasted any brain cells there. But for the high-end devices, high-quality images are now locked out, which just brings down the memory usage a bit. And I've also done a couple of little optimizations to save less in memory as we're running and try and save a little bit more to the isolated storage instead, or to the relevant XML. So basically, for developers out there, go and read Justin Angel's blog on the Nokia developer forums. It tells you all you really need to worry about with regards to what you might be overdoing memory-wise. And it also tells you, if you look into his details, he's given you a nice little class which will tell you how to detect the 256 megabyte devices and disable things like background tasks is one of the things we've disabled here. So it's a pretty seamless experience. I don't see any reason why developers will struggle with it. But time will tell when the 610 is released.
So probably the more important feature in this SDK is that it works on Windows 8.
Yes, it does. It does now work with Windows 8. Yes.
Yes. So people running 2010, 2011 can target both platforms.
Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't tried to open it in 2011 yet because I've only got 2011's Express version for Windows 8.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It doesn't actually integrate with 11. I'm just saying someone can work on Windows 8 apps and Windows Phone apps at the same time and not have to switch PCs or VMs or.
Yes, but I have nothing to announce there yet.
Righto.
So it can be done, and you can have a bit of a play. And actually, one of the best things is that it means you can have them open side by side and just start copying classes across between apps, and it works surprisingly well.
Yeah, and the emulator.
Yeah, and the emulator as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's really good news. And of course, we've also now got the release of the marketplace has been opened up to a few new countries. So developer push is still coming on quite nicely. It's really good to see.
Cool.
Daniel, anything to add?
Nope.
So I guess the root tool's next.
Yes,
yes.
Go for it.
So I think all of us out there now with a Windows Phone are pretty familiar with the Windows Phone root tools. But if you're not, it's an app. It's actually a set of tools bundled in an app developed by an XDA member. His name is Heathcliff74. Just so it's easier to say, I'm going to say Cliff. But he developed a set of tools that basically dig down into the OS and let you do things like browse the registry, browse the file system, do stuff that you're not normally allowed to do. For the Tinker Tots out there. And so he's been maintaining that for a while. He's been slowly adding device compatibility. I think he's got HTC, maybe an LG phone in there, Samsung phone, obviously. He's still working on Nokia support. But he just released an update, 0.9, and it's kind of funny. He went from 8 to 9. However, I think he rewrote like most of it. So it's a little weird. It's not really a minor update as implied there. But he now added support where I don't want to say hack, but he subverted some limitations he had in the previous version. So now he has true root access. Like he's running at the same level of the OS. He can do anything he wants.
Wow.
And that's a pretty significant victory on his part.
Which but the more do a bit of tinkering.
Yeah. the more exciting part is that he's offering an SDK as well for people out there to tap into the same level of access that he's providing. So as soon as I got wind of that, of course, I chased him down, got an alpha copy out of him, and I was working with
somehow of you being like a bloodhound chasing him down.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure who went to who. He probably came to me, but sorry, I got distracted. Cliff Simpkins, by the way, one of the Microsoft guys, Windows Phone guys, he's on Twitter bashing me. So right. That's always fun. They're talking about my big mic, my big head, etc. Sorry.
That's all right. Tell us what you wrote.
So I was working with Heathcliff on kind of testing his SDK and developing an app at the same time. So I went ahead and wrote a backup application so we can actually back up application data in the ISO store. You may remember that there are ISO tools out there, but you can't access marketplace data. And you guys might remember that my phone is kind of messed up right now, and I can't back it up and I can't flash it because I don't want to lose my Plant vs. Zombie saves. So I, along with David Golden of Metro Twit fame, we wrote the app in 2 days, 1 day, I don't know, 24 hours. And we can pull data off the phone. We've been able to pull it all off. We haven't done the restore piece yet.
Wow.
But yep, we're going to open source it. It'll be on GitHub sooner or later. I don't know.
And we should clarify, of course, that this SDK, etc., all requires interop unlocked phones. So do that at your own risk, please.
Yes.
So Gen 2 devices are pretty much out.
That's a big point, actually, because some phones be interop unlocked at this time. Everyone rushing out to get a Lumia phone, be aware, you can't currently get interop unlock on that. So
I like how you put the clarifier.
Can you explain, Raphael? Can you explain quickly why we can't get interop on these second-gen devices?
Right.
I mean, they've been out for a while now. You know?
All right, so there are a couple levels of unlock. You can developer unlock your phone either via App Hub or our Chevron experiment, which we're not even selling tokens anymore at this time, so never mind. You can developer unlock your phone, but then you can take it a step further by interop unlocking. That basically opens up the phone so you can access native code. Now, to do that, people need to exploit OEM drivers to kind of write to the registry. Mm-hmm. So that it's complicated. It's like this complicated circle, but basically you exploit a driver or a piece of software that already has the permissions you need to then circle back and kind of pat you on the back and give you permissions you need. And then it does some registry editing. But I believe the Nokia device doesn't seem to have any drivers that are exploitable or applications that are exploitable.
So we complain that they made the device too well.
Yeah, I think the popular entry point right now is using these provisioning XML files because you can write to the file system in crazy ways with them. But yeah, apparently that doesn't work on Nokia devices. They're working on it. I won't be surprised if it comes soon, especially with the explosion of popularity here in the U.S. coming up. So we'll see.
Cool. I feel like we've maybe had a bit of a developer feature overload there, so I'm going to
suggest
we move on towards the apps section. No, it was both of us. So apps this week that we've got to talk about, I've picked out 4. There's Audible, Weatherflow, iStunt 2, and the Nokia Drive 2 update. I'm going to start with Audible because I know Dan will probably want to talk about the Audible app.
Sure. Yeah, we got our hands on the Audible app. It's still in beta, so but having said that, it's actually a very good beta. I didn't find anything wrong with it. I'm sure there's some tweaks and stuff they can still do, but I tell you, Audible did a really nice job with this. I was impressed. This isn't just a simple app that you hit play and downloads your music or your audiobook and plays it. They did a really nice job with it. It's beautiful. It's fast. The graphics really punch out there. They should. We've had to wait, I would say, too long for this app, but it's finally nice to know that when we get it, it's going to be something to be proud of. And it's really nice. Having said that, I still haven't found the time to listen to any audiobooks. I've just I don't have time to relax and just listen to audiobooks. I wish I did. It's the same reason why I can't use an iPad, because I just don't consume information.
Do you not have a commuter or anything you can use?
What?
There's no commute or car journey that you could listen to an audiobook on?
No, I don't have the time to focus on just listening to an audiobook. So perhaps the service isn't for me, but really nice app. If you haven't seen it yet, go check our video of it. We have the whole video tour, and it'll be out in a couple of weeks. We don't have a firm date yet, but it's getting close, obviously. So look for that. That'll be a nice big title to have finally on Windows Phone. They'll probably tie that in with the release of the Lumia 900. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's almost out of beta around the same time. So.
Renee's saying that the reason you can't listen to them is because your motorcycle's too noisy.
That's right, yeah. It definitely is a problem. Weatherflow is a nice little weather app from the guys who made Cocktail Flow and App Flow, and evidently Flow is going to be their terminology for all their apps.
Yeah, this is a great looking app, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, one could argue we don't need another weather app, but they took it and they did something different with it. It's sort of up there with Amazing Weather. Actually, Amazing Weather does this too, where they make it a very rich, graphically weather experience that you use. I'd actually say Amazing Weather, which is a little bit more developed, has more features at this point. but weather flow is something definitely to look at. And there's an update coming probably in the next couple of days, actually, that'll finally add nighttime weather animations. So that'll be kind of cool. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, the reason I bought it, it wasn't because of the awesome interface. It's their live tile. I like the fact that you've got today's information, and then when it flips over, it tells you today is going to be cooler, warmer, or about the same as yesterday, and whether or not you need an umbrella. That is exactly what a live tile should be used for. That's perfect. Yeah,
it was a smart use of the live tile, and makes a nice change. So it's nice to get a weather app that does something a little bit different. Raphael, you've been using this too, right? Seem to like it.
The weather flow?
Yeah.
Oh, I just downloaded it today, and I was thinking exactly like most of the people out there. Oh God, another weather app, really? But you actually use it. They've although they're a little light on features, I think that works to their benefit. Because it's very simple. It's really fast. I mean, it's fast on my first gen phone, so that's amazing. And the subtle animations they have, I was just demoing it on the camera, where you can flip sort of like a calendar.
Yeah, I love that flip.
That's really cool. But
I want to know how they did that.
And he pulls up reflector.
right.
Yeah,
but
I'll be looking.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm actually more interested on they have an interesting demo model where you can launch it only 10 times.
I'm
curious to see how well that works out for them, especially given that crashes can happen.
Well, they had a problem, right? So actually, they had to pull the trial for a while. They actually told us about this app. They're like, "Wait, don't publish anything on it. We're having problems with the trial." And apparently, after a launch or two, the trial would stop working, and they actually had a pretty big bug with it. So they had to resubmit it. They pulled it from the marketplace, the trial. They disabled that option, and then they put it back out there. So now it's fixed and okay and stuff.
But of course, you can uninstall it and reinstall it.
So this interests me for two reasons. One, from a technical standpoint, how they counting. I'm guessing they just store something in isolated storage. I will find out today. But the more interesting side is, do they see piracy as a growing or immediate threat or something that would require them to implement something so complex?
Is it that complex?
I don't. It just seems like they went out of their way to implement a trial mode like this. Like, why not just use the default?
Really simple to do. It's the wrong way of doing it, and Microsoft advised you not to do this, because I tried doing this at first with WPCentral, and Microsoft tell you don't do it because people can just uninstall it and reinstall it, and they're fine again.
Oh, I have not tried that.
I'd say I apologize now to the guys who made Weatherflow for letting everyone know that Microsoft intentionally said don't do this. Unless they found a way around that, it's potentially possible. But
well, I'm guessing
Microsoft recommended way of doing it is to close up avenues of code.
If they told Daniel to hold up on posting it, maybe it's a server-side check.
It could be. That's the only thing I can think. If it takes the device information, that's the only way they could have done it. But
that's
we shall see.
That just seems so complicated to me. I don't know.
All right. But then again, they made Cocktail Flow, so they're not adverse to complicated but awesome stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
And for the record, something this premium with such a good lifestyle, I think it's worth the money. But I'm biased.
Yep.
Well, weather apps are those things. They're kind of like Twitter apps. If you use them every day, sometimes multiple times a day, it makes sense to give a couple bucks if you think you're going to use it. So I'm okay with this. Let's talk about Ice Stunt 2. I love this game. It's so good.
Me too.
I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, $2.99 from Miniclip, who also did Fragger and Gravity Guy. They seem to be having hits in the marketplace. They get it for some reason. They make cool, innovative games with good graphics and fairly priced. And this is reminds me of Motocross Maniacs, if you ever played the Game Boy way back in the day. But it's a game where basically you got to do little stunts and collect stars. But what makes it fun, though, is, of course, the interaction. You use your phone. It's a tilting game. The controls actually are really good. It takes a few minutes to figure it out, but you'll get it. And it has this nice ragdoll effects. And I don't know, every level I find kind of fun and cool. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I can't stop playing
I haven't tried it, to be honest.
To be honest,
you gotta try it, right?
I'll tell you what.
I'm going to try it right now. Keep going.
I fell over on the underground today playing it because I was tilting my phone left, was watching it so in detail, the tube came to a stop, and I literally fell sideways. It was very embarrassing. But it was immersive. I was into the game.
It's fun. and it also has the marketplace where you can buy. So you collect coins as you complete the levels, and with those coins, you can buy stuff in the store. But then they also gave it for the lazy people like myself, where you just use Microsoft points to buy coins, and then you can unlock new characters to change during the game and buy new boards. And I already did this. I am now the old lady, and I ski or snowboard on a ironing board.
We were talking about coins, and I had a flashback there of whatever that bug game is.
Oh, right, Bug Village, right?
Bug Village, yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. No, it's not like that, but I mean, everybody needs to buy stuff. But some of the characters are actually really funny. Like, there's one that's like a Jello guy. He kind of like jiggles around. There's an Invisible Man. He just has gloves.
Cool.
And a hat. They have like a ninja. They have characters from their other games, which is kind of nice. They have the guy from Fragger, the guy from Gravity Guy, which I think was a nice carryover. It's really smart how they're trying to make almost icons out of those, sort of like their own Sonic the Hedgehog. And so the game is fun, and even the level selection is kind of neat with the little gondolas that bounce back and forth. So I think they did a great job. And for $2.99, I think the game's a steal because it's going to have a lot of replay value, sort of like Motocross Maniac said, where you can always go back and do more stunts because you can flip around and collect points. And there's two modes. There's a freestyle mode, and then there's the time mode. So there's just a lot of variation you can do here. And evidently there's at least 88 levels, so it should keep people busy for quite some time. But definitely nice to have these little smaller indie, almost like unexpected games come into marketplace. Turn out to be pretty good games. So let's talk about
good stuff. I was just playing with it right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's cute graphics. They did a nice job. Nice frame rate on there too. Plus, it is Mango ready, so you can do the resume stuff, which is pretty good.
I have to apologize. I'm having network issues at the moment. I can barely hear what you're saying, but so if I drop out, you might have to carry on without me. Okay. Sounds like it's a bad day in London.
It's weird because we can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
Well, maybe my download's messed up. That's fine.
Turn off your torrents.
So with that in mind, we'll just quickly mention Nokia Drive 2 because it's a pretty decent upgrade. It's not Nokia Drive 3, which we know is going to bring about a whole load of new awesome features. But Nokia Drive 2 does bring the offline navigation, which now means that you've got a full GPS turn-by-turn navigation system on your phone, which is one of the main reasons to go out and buy a Nokia for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah.
But not for me. I still don't really care for Nokia Drive. It's useless for me here in New York, mostly because it doesn't do traffic rerouting or gives you the option to avoid tolls. And I know it's free and it's nicely done. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I know I'm just complaining now. Hopefully, version 3. I mean, they're going to get around to this stuff, so I don't want to harsh on them too much. It has a lot of potential, but as of right now, for me, I can't really use it. So it's going to depend on your circumstance, but it is a nice app. I'm really looking forward to getting some more advanced features because right now I still like Garmin is my favorite GPS navigation app. So until it gets a little closer to that, it won't be as much of a value. But
yeah, I feel like there was traffic rerouting on Nokia Maps back in when it was on Symbian. So they've definitely got the technology there to do it. So I'd expect to see that on a future version.
Right.
So we are a little bit short on time. We're doing okay. So we're going to go on to community. We had got a couple of other things to talk about, but as always, we've overrun because that's just how we do things here. Get used to it. So let's just go to the comments from last time, and people in the chat room. If you've got any questions that you want to ask us, ask away. I have a feeling that seeing as my internet's not working very well, it'll be Daniel and Raphael picking them up. But for the meantime, let's go to the comments from last week, which of course was our episode featuring Justin Angel from Nokia. We got a couple of comments, people saying, people asking, first of all, wasn't Audible sponsoring us last week? Yes, Audible was sponsoring us last week, and feel free to listen to that podcast. And this week, we're telling you about how good their app is. People were asking, actually, an interesting comment here from Izzyman. Just discovered that the cheapest Windows Phone 7 with a full 512 megabytes, 8 gigabytes on board is the LG 906 for £140. So these lower-end Tango fees, the 256 megabyte ones, like the Lumia 610, are going to have to be priced much cheaper than that, he's saying. In emerging markets, BlackBerry rules the day at the moment, with the prices starting from £90 for the cheapest BlackBerry, and Tango would have to compete at these prices. Interesting comment. Daniel, do you think that we'll get a sub £100 Nokia Lumia?
Yeah, sure. I think Nokia said this themselves. A lot of it depends on the components. Everybody's been talking about this Android, what's his name from Google Schiller was talking about this. So I mean, everybody wants to get this phones below $100 for smartphones. Part of it's just getting the components cheap enough, but they're definitely moving that direction. Nokia wants to do that. Nokia will do that. The 610, might not be the lowest they'll go for a Windows Phone device, so it might even go lower than that. So, expect that to happen. It won't happen overnight. Everybody's trying to do this as much as they can, but there are limits currently what we can do with buying components and making a device and not completely ruining the experience. But sure, it'll definitely happen.
That'd be good. I can certainly see some people diving in at that price bracket as well. Another comment from Aaron 3 from last week. Just saw and heard the podcast right now as it's been during the week. Great questions and clarifications on multitasking, among others, the new breed of affordable Windows Phone, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope you guys do this more often. And Daniel, take care and get well soon. And he recommends ginger tea and honey will help reduce your cough.
Yeah, or just I've been taking Mucinex makes really good pills, by the way, that are good for like 12 hours. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm trying my best.
It'll induce vomiting, though.
Well, it's not as bad as chugging down cough syrup. So, but I'm getting there. Give it another 2 weeks. I think I'll be okay. But yeah,
I will be checking in on you in 2 weeks' time when the podcast comes on. I'll be saying straight away, "Are you better yet?"
Yeah. So.
So let's go to questions from the chat room, if we have any this week. The only one that I can see is from WP Sweden. He's asking, is the 610 released on the 8th too? No.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Is the Lumia 610 released on the 8th as well?
Oh, no. The 610 is coming out a little bit later. So I think look around for May or June. So that's coming out around then. So.
Cool. Yoda Nim asks, have any of us got to play with the Lumia 900 yet? And do we know if we can turn off LTE and just use HSPA? I don't think any of us have had a chance to play with the Lumia 900 yet, but do we know if that's possible? Do we know if we can turn it off?
No, I've played with it, and I've seen what the OS is like. This is a Titan 2 does this too. I did a story on it. You can't disable LTE. No. It's not optional.
So even the settings, like on my Lumia 800, I can disable 3G and go to Edge. That's not possible.
No.
If you go to the mobile network section of the settings, is that possible? We'll find out for next podcast, see if we can find out. Obviously,
yeah, I'll definitely find out. But when I did the Titan 2 story, we talked about this because I specifically looked and I specifically asked. And no, it's going to just be smart and switch between them. So maybe it'll turn off the whole 3G, 4G thing at once, possible. But the actual LTE aspect, I don't think so. No,
but of course,
it's
the only reason.
Smart.
Sorry, the only reason you want to turn it off would be for the battery life, surely.
Right. But with an 1830 battery, it's pretty big.
It should be fine.
18T was pretty big on the battery life here. They said they have 4 criteria for battery testing on their network that apps or phones need to pass depending on their category. And the 900 passed all of them with flying colors. They said it's up there with their top performing phones for battery life. So it's it's 7 hours talk time. This information's already out there, which is pretty good for that phone. So people can expect good battery life.
Yes, and hopefully won't need a firmware fix to deal with anything else.
Right.
So I actually have a question before we pick up another one. I think we reported that Lumia phones are going to have the Wi-Fi feature, the hotspot feature.
Yes.
Whatever you call it, tethering. Sorry. Are we really getting that on AT&T?
Yes. Yeah, it's already there. Yeah, okay. No, it's there. And the Titan has it too. The Titan 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because we don't have that on the
Focuses, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah. No, the Focus S has it. Their Mango phones have tethering, so it's there.
Fair enough.
Does it depend on the plan from AT&T? I'm guessing over there.
Yeah, it's something you have to add on to your plan, and so. Things like visual voicemail, though, are free. LTE is free, too. I mean, it's actually kind of nice that they're doing the LTE thing. There's no plan change for that. There's a code I think you have to change on your plan, but that's it. And you can do that and you get your visual voicemail. And, of course, LTE is just automatic. You'll get that. So that stuff is free. The tethering is extra, but tethering will be available on the 900 when released, yeah.
Cool. You guys want to pick up another question? There's a question from Heathcliff for XDA asking when will interop unlock for Nokia be ready. Hi, Heathcliff.
Yeah.
Yes. When you patch it, Heath.
Oh, very good. People asking what the WP Sweden's asking what the general reception of the 900 is like in the US. We don't have that information at the moment, so we can't really answer that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it's you just have to understand Nokia concentrates a lot on reception. It's a big thing for them. They make phones first. The 800 gets very good reception. There's been no complaints about that. Unlike HTC's had some complaints about reception. So I would say set your expectations high for reception on the 900. That's something that Nokia really focuses on. AT&T is a big is focusing on that too. So
I think that's about it for questions this week. I think we're about done.
Yep.
Dan, take us away.
Oh, I have to do it? Okay. You can find us all on Twitter at WPCentral. You can find myself at Malatessa77, George at CopperTop004, Rich Edmonds at Rich Edmonds, Jay Bennett at JT Bennett. You can find Paul at SegaCon. You can find Raphael at Within Raphael, Matt at Broke Code, and of course our forums admin, Dave at Big_D5. It's been a Mobile Nations podcast. Go to mobilenations.com for more great shows covering everything mobile, or head over to WPCentral forums if you'd like to get involved with our community and discussing the more Windows Phone news, devices, and apps, especially if you're interested in 900 and want to throw out there. We have a lot of stuff going on in the forums about that, including employees who have the phone and are taking your questions. So if you want to know about the 900 and you want to get more details, hop into our forums, ask away. Those guys will help you out. Thanks to WPCentral Store for sponsoring the podcast. Thanks to all the great artists for music at ccmix.org for offering a great database of Creative Commons music. And that is it. We'll see you guys hopefully in 2 weeks. We'll have more on Illumia 900. Make sure you pay attention to the site. Thank you, Raphael. And what's your name, Jay?
Yeah, that's it.
And download MetroTwit.
And download MetroTwit. Yes, 1.0 came out this week. It's excellent. Make sure you guys go get that.
Good stuff. Right, thank you also to everyone in the chat room for coming and joining us. And that's all from me.
There you go. Take care, folks.